And welcome to this week's lesson on Silat Cali. And before we start, don't forget to subscribe below to get all the latest videos, trainings and clips from our system. We're going to follow on from last week's lesson where we're working on the principle of penetration. That is the ability to enter our opponent's space, with the least amount of damage done to us and creating as much damage as we can to our opponent. Okay, so from here I'm going to use my assistant today, and Thomas is going to be helping me. And from here, what we're basically going to start with here, at this range here, when I'm outside of any, able to make any contact, this is called range 0. At this stage, I should be running, escaping, and finding another way to get away from this attacker. But if Thomas throws a punch and I get caught out here, this is range 1. We discussed this before, but we want to be able to destroy this hand. Okay, so what we're going to do is a simple drill. This is stage 1, and this is only a training drill. Okay, so from here, where our opponent's standing still, we're just going to practice delivering strikes. But one of the things that we learn in Silat is that we use our whole body to strike with. It doesn't matter if it's our fingertips, our elbows, our forearm, our inner arm, our wrists, our thumbs, any part of our body that makes contact should be able to deliver strikes. Okay, and we create this power from our whiplash motion that we add to our strikes. Okay, so, but at the start, till you learn this skill, just create fluidity with your movements. All we're working off here. Okay. Now if Thomas throws the cross action towards me, I'm going to block this. And again, just working on the same concept, destroying this. This is stage 1. Okay. Now once we get comfortable with that, the next stage will be with Thomas to the punch and retreat it back in again. So from here, as he pulls his arm back in again, I'm going to follow it. Okay. And once I start following it, now we're into elbow striking. His elbows are towards his head, different parts of his body, and we can also deliver knee strikes in towards here. Okay, but again, when we're training with people, in class, is that there's a tendency to always to stand still. But in reality, the person usually comes forward when they strike. So Thomas comes forward when he strikes. This brings me into what we call range 3, or superior angle. And this is because at this range he can't strike me, and I can get into a lock, I can go for the eyes, I can go for the groin, I can go for a take down to the legs. There's different targets I can get to. Of course, if I'm in this range and Thomas decides to move around to get closer to me to fight me, okay, I can use footwork and get change of range again. Sticking to his outside, this is range 2, this is back to 3, and keep Thomas trying to move again, keep moving and try and get back to that range where I can control him. Okay. Now sometimes if Thomas throws a punch, he throws a jab, I get caught on the inside. Now this is what we call the inferior angle, because once I'm in here, he can do anything he wants with me now. He can punch, he can kick, he can knee, he can headbutt. I've a lot more things to be worried about. So it's really important that when someone throws a jab and he throws a cross, that I learn to control this range as much as possible so he can't get those strikes in. If he comes across, tries to punch me in the head, we can use what we call a python wrap to hit with. Okay. Once you kind of master all this, the next stage really be when Thomas does that long range is to practice your kicks with your strikes with the way you move in. You might start off doing a slow ball in here, get the kick coming in, or it can be what we call a toe point kick. You can use a headbutt, you can use an elbow strike, but you learn to penetrate as quickly as possible. And we go a little bit faster again, move in, this is where we're actually going. Each time I go in the strike, where we can hit here, and move here, use different strikes, according to where we want to go to. Okay? And this all adds into what we call this penetration space. Okay? Just to help you with that as well, because not all principles work on their own, you can add the principle we call the principle of thorn, where you destroy this, you bring it to a target. Okay? And the guy in this hand usually touches, and Thomas punches towards me, boom, we can hit this out, we can headbutt. These are all what we call thorn impalements. Okay, and again we can strike here, thumb in the eyes, grab the groin. So you have many options that you can use with your training to understand the principle of penetration.